There's a type of suffering that makes no noise. It lives in your chest, walks through the early morning hours, and whispers questions we'd rather not hear. It's that pain we feel when we look around and realize that even surrounded by people, we're deeply alone. If you've made it this far, maybe it's because you also know this feeling. Maybe you've already wondered if there's somewhere in this world where you truly belong, where you don't have to wear masks or pretend to be someone you're not. This conversation is for you who feels, who thinks too much, who carries an invisible weight on your shoulders. We're going to walk together through intimate territories of the human soul, where true healing happens. Have you ever tried to fit into empty conversations, automatic routines, noisy environments, and felt something inside you slowly fading away? This feeling isn't being dramatic or a character flaw. It's the first sign that you weren't born to follow the script they handed you at birth. It's your body warning you that your soul vibrates at a different frequency than most people. Think about those work meetings where everyone pretends to be interested in numbers that don't make sense. Or those parties where you smile politely while people talk about things that seem completely empty. While others seem to navigate these situations naturally, you feel like you're watching a movie where you don't know the script. The pain that arises isn't because you're wrong, but because you're trying to force your essence into a mold that wasn't made for you. This pain is actually your inner wisdom screaming for you to stop betraying yourself. It's the alarm that goes off when you're living someone else's life. And although it hurts, this pain is sacred. It keeps you from completely losing yourself in the illusion that you need to be like everyone else to have value. When you stop fighting against this pain and start listening to it, it becomes your most reliable compass. Some of us feel everything more deeply. Injustice hurts throughout our whole body. Other people's silence about important things sounds like screaming. Other people's rush to solve superficial things while ignoring what's essential leaves a weight in your chest that's hard to explain. It's as if there's an excess of reality vibrating inside you, while the world insists on living on the surface. You watch the news and can't just change the channel like others do. You see a person being mistreated in the supermarket line and carry that scene for days. You hear a song and it awakens memories and feelings so intense that you have to stop everything to process them. While others seem to glide through life without being affected much, you absorb every detail, every emotion, every injustice as if they were your own. This intensity isn't a flaw, it's radar. You pick up what many don't even notice. You see connections where others see coincidences. You feel the pain hidden behind forced smiles. You notice when someone is faking interest or when a situation has deeper layers than it appears. But this has a cost, the exhaustion of existing in a world that seems deaf to the things that matter most. The price of sensitivity is carrying not only your own pain, but also the pain that others can't or won't feel. The constant distractions, the empty applause, the social demands that never stop. For many, this is normal, the rhythm of modern life. But for you, it's too much noise. Not just physical noise, but soul noise. Conversations that say nothing, commitments that don't make sense, relationships based on convenience instead of truth. You need silence to think, solitude to feel, space to process. But the world pushes you toward hurry, toward performance, toward always being available and always productive. When you express this need for quietude, you're called antisocial, lazy, or difficult. Your high sensitivity is confused with weakness, when it's actually a call to lucidity. It's the beginning of silent refusal. I don't want to lose myself anymore to be accepted. I don't want to pretend anymore that noise is music, that rush is efficiency, that being busy is being alive. This refusal doesn't come from pride, but from the soul's survival instinct. You realize that if you keep trying to adapt to the world's rhythm, you'll lose what's most precious, your ability to feel authentically, to think deeply, to truly exist instead of just functioning. Being alone, not being understood, not fitting into conversation circles. All of this might seem like social isolation, personal failure, or a problem to be solved. But what if it's not? What if it's spiritual recalibration? What if it's your soul preparing to hear a different sound? The sound of itself. When you were a child, maybe you were that person who preferred watching the game instead of participating. In adolescence, maybe you felt strange at parties, like you were watching from the outside. In adult life, you realize that your deepest conversations are with yourself, that your best companions are books, nature, silence. This isn't a disease, it's a calling. The hermit withdraws not because he hates people, but because he needs to hear something that can only be heard in silence. He needs to find something that can only be found when we stop seeking external approval. Solitude, at this stage, isn't a fall, it's the beginning of a climb. It's the moment when you stop trying to be interesting to others and start genuinely becoming interested in yourself. It's when you discover that the most fascinating person you know lives inside you, but only speaks when there's no one else around to compete with their voice. You try to care about work gossip, try to participate in conversations about celebrities, try to laugh at the same repeated jokes, but something in you gets stuck. It's as if there's a physical barrier preventing you from connecting with what you consider empty. This barrier isn't stubbornness or superiority. It's your truth saying, this isn't you. When you force this participation, when you try to be interested in what doesn't touch you, your body makes you pay. Headaches after unnecessary meetings. Exhaustion after superficial social events. Insomnia after entire days pretending to be interested in things that don't matter. Your organism is warning you that you're spending vital energy on things that don't nourish your soul. The more you force this adaptation, the sicker you get. Not just psychologically, but physically. Because the body doesn't lie. It knows when you're betraying your essence to be accepted. The pain of not fitting in is actually healing trying to happen. It's your inner wisdom trying to save you from a life that isn't yours. When you stop fighting against this pain and start respecting it, it becomes your most efficient protection against everything that could make you lose sight of who you really are. Since the most ancient myths, there have been characters who walk outside the cities, the dogmas, the collective certainties. They're the wanderers, the outsiders, those who observe from afar before approaching. They're not villains or traditional heroes. They're the ones who carry a different perspective, a view that comes from outside the system. Maybe you recognize this pattern in your own life. You were always the one who questioned the rules that everyone accepted without thinking. You were always the one who perceived contradictions where others saw harmony. You were always the one who needed to understand the why of things instead of simply going with the flow. This doesn't mean you're rebellious for rebellion's sake. It means you carry knowledge that hasn't yet found its place. The outsider isn't lost. He's fulfilling a function, bringing into the known what comes from outside, renewing what's old, questioning what has become automatic. You didn't fit in because your function isn't to repeat patterns, it's to create new ones. It's not to follow paths, it's to open paths. And this inevitably means walking alone for a while, until others recognize the trail you're blazing. You were ignored in groups where you tried to insert yourself. You were ridiculed for expressing ideas that seemed obvious to you, but strange to others. You were forgotten in invitations, excluded from conversations, treated as if your opinions had no value. All of this might have seemed like personal failure, proof that there's something wrong with you. But what if it's not? What if it's life telling you, what you're looking for isn't here? What if each rejection is a disguised door, a redirection to where you truly belong? Sometimes, life pushes us out of places that aren't ours through pain, because it's the only way to make us seek our true place. Rejections from the outside world are often invitations to the inner world. They're moments when we're forced to stop seeking external validation and start building our internal validation. Each no we receive from outside can be a yes we need to give ourselves. Each exclusion can be an inclusion in our own life, our own truth, our own path. Initiation always hurts, but it's through pain that we leave who we were and become who we came to be. Maybe you don't fit in because you came to bring a different pattern, a different perspective, a different vibration. The world you miss, where conversations are deep, where people truly care, where silence is respected and sensitivity is valued. Maybe this world doesn't exist yet, and maybe you're here to help build it. First inside, then outside. Before changing the world, you need to find peace with the fact that your function isn't to adapt to what's there, but to create what doesn't exist yet. This requires a different kind of courage. The courage to be a pioneer, to open paths, to plant seeds that might only germinate years later. You carry within you a project for a different world, a way of being that hasn't yet found space to fully flourish. Your maladjustment isn't failure, it's an announcement. It's life saying that you didn't come to repeat what already exists, but to invent what hasn't been invented yet. And this always starts with one person willing to be different, even if it means being alone for a while. Even if it means being misunderstood, until others begin to understand. Non-belonging is a wound that opens passages. It's through pain that you're torn from collective hypnosis, from autopilot, from the life that everyone lives without questioning. The fracture forces you to look where no one else is looking. And this, however devastating it might seem in the moment, is the beginning of consciousness. When everything is working perfectly, when you fit in without effort, when life flows without questions, you can spend years without really waking up to who you are. Pain has the power to wake you from sleep. It forces you to question everything. What's real, what's important, what's worthwhile, who you are when no one is watching. Jung knew this when he spoke about the necessity of descending into personal hells to find the hidden treasures of the soul. Pain isn't punishment, it's initiation. It's not an end, it's a beginning. Each moment of non-belonging brings you closer to the person you came to be. Each exclusion reminds you that your true inclusion doesn't depend on others' approval, but on recognizing yourself. Consciousness is born from the wound, and the wound, when well cared for, becomes wisdom. There comes a time when it's no longer about fitting in or explaining yourself. It's about becoming quiet, preserving yourself, becoming fertile soil. The hermit doesn't flee from the world, he prepares the earth. He withdraws not out of giving up, but out of strategy. He understands that there are times to sow and times to harvest, and that between these times there exists a sacred time of quietude. Those who can handle silence can handle the invisible, and the invisible is where everything begins. It's in silence that you hear your true voice. It's in solitude that you find your most honest company. It's in withdrawal that you discover your most authentic strength. The world might interpret this as weakness, but those who know the power of silence know it's where the purest strength lives. You no longer need to justify yourself to those who don't understand your need for quietude. You no longer need to explain why you need time alone, why you don't like crowds, why you prefer deep conversations to small talk. Your strength isn't in adapting to the world's noise, but in keeping the flame of silence burning. It's this flame that will illuminate your path and eventually serve as a lighthouse for others who also seek refuge in quietude. They're scattered throughout the world, silent, off the radar of crowds, but they exist. People who also feel too much, think too much, live on the margins of the obvious. They're the misunderstood artists, the solitary thinkers, the sensitive ones who learn to protect themselves in silence. They're the ones who prefer one true conversation to 1,000 superficial ones. When these encounters happen, there's no need for explanations, just recognition. It's as if you speak the same secret language, share the same invisible code. There's a feeling of finally being able to breathe, of finally being understood without needing to translate yourself. These encounters are rare, but when they happen, they compensate for years of misunderstanding. This invisible belonging isn't based on physical proximity or constant coexistence. It's based on soul resonance. They're the people with whom you can go months without talking, and when you meet again, the conversation continues where it left off. They're the ones who understand your silences, respect your need for space, and celebrate your sensitivity instead of trying to cure it. They exist, and finding them is like finding pieces of yourself scattered throughout the world, finally reunited. Now that we've walked together through this journey of recognition, I want to share with you 4 practices that can help transform the pain of non-belonging into creative strength. These practices are born from Jungian wisdom about individuation, the process of becoming who we really are. First practice, the True Soul Journal. Every morning, before checking messages or worrying about the day's demands, set aside 20 minutes to write 3 pages by hand about what you genuinely feel, think, and dream. It's not a regular diary where you report facts. It's an intimate encounter with your inner voice. Write about that sadness you can't explain, about the strange dream you had, about the conversation that bothered you yesterday, about what you'd like to change in your life. Without filters, without worrying about grammar, correct English, or whether it makes sense. If anger comes, write with anger. If melancholy comes, let the words come out melancholic. It's your moment to talk with your essence without intermediaries, without judgment, without needing to be understandable to anyone besides yourself. Second practice, the withdrawal ritual. Once a week, on the same day and time, create your personal sanctuary of solitude. Choose a corner of the house, Completely turn off your phone, light a candle if it brings you peace, put on soft music, or stay in complete silence. Whatever your soul asks for in that moment. It's not time to solve problems, plan the week, or think about work. It's time to simply exist in your own company. It can be 1 hour, it can be 2. You can sit observing the candle flame, you can lie down and look at the ceiling, you can slowly drink tea, feeling each sip. The important thing is to recognize that you are enough for yourself, that your company is valuable, that you deserve this sacred time that's just yours. Third practice, mapping your archetypes. Archetypes are universal patterns of behavior that exist in the depths of the human soul, like eternal characters that appear in all cultures and eras. Jung discovered that we all carry some of these patterns more intensely. Observe what roles repeat in your life since childhood. Were you always the outsider, the one who observes from outside, who questions the rules, who never fits in completely? Or the wounded healer, the one who feels others' pain, who wants to help everyone but struggles to take care of himself? Maybe you're the sage, the one who seeks to understand the deep meaning of things, who prefers books to parties. Or the eternal child, the one who preserves the ability to wonder, but suffers dealing with adult responsibilities. Recognizing your main archetypes helps you understand that your journey isn't an accident. It's part of a larger universal pattern that has purpose and beauty. Fourth practice, celebrating difference. Instead of trying to correct, hide, or soften what makes you different, start a daily ritual of celebrating these characteristics. Every night before sleeping, write down 3 things that make you unique and be grateful for them. Your excessive sensitivity. It's what allows you to create deep connections and perceive beauty where others don't see it. Your need for silence. It's what connects you to your inner wisdom. Your difficulty with superficialities. It's what keeps you authentic in a world of masks. Your tendency to question everything. It's what prevents you from living on autopilot. Stop apologizing for being intense, deep, different. Start understanding that these characteristics aren't flaws to be corrected, but rare gifts that the world needs. Your authenticity is a silent revolution against generalized falsehood. If these words touch something deep in you, if you recognized your own journey in these reflections, I invite you to deepen this discovery even further. The ebook, Alchemy and Archetypes, offers an even more intimate dive into this transformation of pain into wisdom, of isolation into creative strength. You're not alone on this journey. Every person who likes this video and subscribes to the channel is building with us this invisible community of souls who don't fit into ready-made molds, but who are creating new ways to exist authentically in this world.